Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Chloe Warren asked James Turner, "If there were a time machine, what moment would you want to return to most?" He answered, "The winter of 1985. Back then, I wouldn't have listened to others and misunderstood you." I gave a faint smile. "I'd also want to return to the winter of 1985. That way, I definitely wouldn't have married you." The winter of 1985 was colder than ever. Inside the house, the fire crackled warmly. I poked at the firewood in the stove. "Go apologize to Anna Hart and we'll consider this matter settled." James's commanding voice rang in my ear. I only gave him a bland glance as he put down the fire tongs and stood up. "If you want me to apologize to Anna Hart, fine, but you'll need to sign this first." I pulled open a drawer, took out an agreement, and handed it to him. Browning, he walked closer. This man was my husband, James Turner, the distinguished commander of the Special Operations Unit. At that moment, he wore his military uniform. His eyes, though younger by 30 years, were still deep and stern, his gaze full of scrutiny and judgment. Yes, I had been reborn, returning to the year 1985, back to the 5th month after our wedding. In my past life, it wasn't until a month after our marriage that I learned James Turner had a white moonlight. Anna Hart, the youngest female officer in the Communications Corps. My heart had gone cold. I had wanted to request a transfer to teach elsewhere, but after a quarrel in the dorm with Anna, the transfer never happened. Now James didn't even take the document. His voice was icy. "What trick are you trying to pull this time? If you think you can use this to bully Anna, don't blame me for not treating you as family." I remained calm. "As long as you agree, I'll apologize until she's satisfied." Seeing my determination, James finally took the agreement and flipped it open. I clenched my hands tightly. Moments later, he turned straight to the last page and signed his name. "You'd better keep your word." He slammed the paper down on the table and turned to leave. I quickly opened it, flipping to the page he had skipped, where 4 bold words stood out: divorce agreement. The corner of my lips curved upward. I will keep my word this time. My new life had to begin with correcting this mistake. I picked up the divorce papers and ran to the commissar's office, but the commissar was on a business trip to Washington, D.C., and wouldn't be back for 2 weeks. I frowned slightly. The staff on duty couldn't help but advise me. "Commander Turner is young with a bright future ahead of him. He's a rare catch. Don't act rashly. As long as you don't let go, Anna Hart can't take your place." I smiled faintly. "I'm not being impulsive. I just truly don't deserve him. In my past life, after I fell into the water and he saved me, I married him out of gratitude and my own lightning bolt infatuation. But when Anna returned from overseas, she claimed I had deliberately fallen into the water to seduce James. Relying on her position, she caused trouble everywhere, pretending to be fragile and even harmed me, pushing me into icy waters where I lost our 3-month-old child." Thinking of that, I placed a hand on my flat stomach, my deep eyes rippling with suppressed turmoil. Seeing this, the staff didn't press further and only said, "You still have 2 weeks. Think it over." I shook my head firmly. I've already thought it through. This decision had been made the very moment I was reborn. Nothing and no one could change it. I bowed slightly in thanks, turned to leave, only to meet James Turner's questioning eyes. "What exactly have you thought through?" My heart clenched. Stunned, I stared as he strode toward me, pressure closing in from all sides. The commissar's assistant quickly stepped between us. "Commander Turner, if there's something to say, speak calmly. Don't be tense." He tugged James aside and whispered, "Hurry up and coax Miss Warren. You still have time to take back her decision." He patted James Turner on the shoulder before leaving, and soon only the 2 of us were left in the room. James's expression suddenly darkened. "Chloe Warren, just as I thought. You act one way to my face and another behind my back. You just promised you'd apologize. Yet the moment you turned around, you ran to the commissar to accuse me, pretending to be understanding only to trick me into signing the papers. Isn't that right?" In the past, I would have panicked and rushed to explain. But this time, I lifted my head and pulled an envelope from my pocket. "This is a letter of apology addressed to Anna Hart. I wanted to submit it to the commissar." Making it public would show my sincerity, but before I could, you showed up. A flicker of surprise crossed James's eyes. Before he could speak, I softened my voice. Could you help me pass it on to her? He didn't take it, his expression uneasy. Forget it. I'll deliver it myself. I slipped the letter back into my pocket, brushed past him, and spoke as lightly as water. I have to get to class now. Don't worry. What I promised I'll do. I didn't linger a second longer, and left on time. That afternoon, after finishing my lessons early, I planned to head to the communications office to find Anna Hart, but the security guard stopped me. Miss Warren, there's a letter from home for you. I froze, then hurried to take it. In my past life, my parents had opposed me moving far away after marriage. Out of anger, they cut off contact. For 2 years, only a single letter came, and I only returned once. This time, as I unfolded the letter, every word was filled with retreat and longing. My eyes burned red at the corners. This year, there's heavy snow. The plum blossoms in South Lake Park have bloomed. Take James to see them. We hope you'll come home soon. Regret surged through me, pressing the letter to my chest, and tears slipped down my cheeks. Mom, Dad, give me just 2 more weeks. 2 weeks, and I'll come home for good, never leaving again. When night fell and James returned, I had just finished making up the bed in the guest room. The faint, familiar scent of orchid drifted in the air. It's your ovulation period. I'll shower first, then meet me in bed, he said coldly before walking into the bathroom. He had always been a man of strict routines. Even having a child was scheduled like a mission. In the past, I had gone along without protest. But without love, intimacy felt no different from a transaction. When he came out, the bedroom was empty. The blankets and pillows were gone. Alarmed, he hurried to the guest room where he found me lying on the single bed. Why are you sleeping here? I turned my back and pretended to be asleep. From tonight on, we'll sleep separately. I needed to get used to the feeling of being alone. His eyes darkened, his voice chilled. You're using this to give me the silent treatment. I asked you to apologize for your own good. Besides, you agreed. I slowly opened my eyes. On the wall, our wedding photo filled my view. In it, James wore a stiff, cold expression. No smile on his face. The warmth in my gaze gradually faded. I turned toward him and cut him off. I'm not making a scene. I just don't feel comfortable sharing a bed with you. That night, without James beside me, I slept peacefully. Meanwhile, in the master bedroom, James tossed and turned, unable to sleep, all because of my words. The next day, heavy snow blanketed the earth. The school term was nearly over, and I submitted my resignation to the principal. He was reluctant to let me go. Miss Warren, are you really leaving? You were even voted outstanding teacher this year. The students adore you. It would be such a pity if you resigned. I thanked him repeatedly but remained firm. Children will have new teachers, but I only have one set of parents. No one can replace them. Just as I stepped out of the school gate, James's military jeep pulled up in front of me. The moment he saw me, he jumped out, stripped off his army coat, and draped it over my shoulders. Why didn't you wear more? You'll catch cold. I looked at him, unaccustomed to this sudden tenderness. Why are you here? James Turner slipped his arm around my shoulders as we walked, speaking softly. It's almost New Year's. Some comrades are back home and want to see you. I came to pick you up. You're all gathering together. What would a woman like me do there? I lowered my head, my boots crunching against the snow. In my past life, he had never taken me to meet his friends. Even when I had asked, all I got in return was, "You're a woman. What would you be doing interfering there?" The truth was I never liked noisy crowds. Back then, I only wanted to hear people talk about him. But now I had no interest and no time. I had only 12 days left before I would return home. Before the state shops closed for the holiday, I needed to buy a few specialties to take back with me. I still have things to do. I won't go. I tried to take off his coat to return it, but he stopped me. I already promised them. Don't make me lose face. I froze, saying nothing more. James Turner, this will be the last time I follow your lead. In 12 days, whether it's your reputation or anyone else's, it won't matter to me anymore. Half an hour later, the Jeep pulled up in front of the state-owned restaurant. As I unbuckled my seatbelt, James was already outside waiting. He reached out a hand to help me, but in the end, shoved it into his pocket instead. A white puff of breath slipped from my lips. Shivering, I murmured, "It's freezing. Let's go inside." His hand faltered in the air before he slowly let it drop, silently following me. For the first time, even though he was right beside me, he felt impossibly far away. Inside, the private room was full of warmth and laughter. The moment I stepped in, everyone greeted me. James's wife. Finally. At least he knows how to listen. Sticking to one tree all these years. Now you're satisfied, huh? If we hadn't pulled him back that year, he would have drunk himself to death. There'd be no today. I sat quietly listening, quietly picking food from the table. The smoked pork with green peppers had once been my favorite, but tonight it tasted bland. I really couldn't imagine James drunk. He was always cold-faced, always talking about rules, never about feelings. Then for the first time he picked up a piece of meat and placed it in my bowl. "You like this? Eat a little more." I moved it to the side. "I don't like it anymore. It's tasteless." He froze, about to speak, when the door swung open. Anna Hart walked in, smiling brightly. "Oh, such a lively gathering. Why didn't anyone call me, James? You guys really don't think of me, do you?" Faking mock anger, she sat right beside him. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly, all eyes darting toward the three of us. Anna glanced around and finally noticed me across the table. Slight surprise flickered across her face. "Oh, you're here too?" She smiled and began chatting as if nothing was wrong. "I got your apology letter. Honestly, it was just a handful of sunflower seeds. You shorted me a few, that's all. I forgot about it long ago." She then slapped James's shoulder playfully. "I told you not to make a big deal of it. Just let it blow over like the wind." Her tone made it sound as though she was the one at his side. Out of reflex, James leaned slightly toward me as if to say something, but swallowed his words when he caught my calm smile. "That day was indeed my mistake," I said, glancing at him before continuing. "Since you're here today, I'll make it official. I apologize to you." I raised my glass, took a small sip, and then tilted my head back, draining it in one go. The liquor burned down my throat. I didn't look back at James. "Consider this my repayment to you." My eyes stung as I set the glass down gently. I still need to prepare lesson plans. With Anna here, I can rest easy. I mentioned the snow outside, then stood and headed for the door. His voice called after me, but I didn't turn around. "It's fine. I brought an umbrella." The door closed behind me. From inside, Anna's voice floated out faintly. "James, Snow Lotus must have misunderstood us again. If I'd known, I wouldn't have come. Forget her. Let's keep eating." I pulled my collar tight and quickened my steps through the falling snow. It was getting heavier by the minute. Just as I reached the residential building, a neighbor, my sister-in-law from next door, pulled me aside. "Chloe, I can't read and my husband's away on duty. My kid has homework, but no one to help. Could you give me a hand?" I looked up at the dark sky and gave a faint smile. "All right." By then, the state-owned stores had already closed and I no longer had time to buy specialties. When I left my neighbor's house, it was already 9 at night. As soon as I reached my door, I heard laughter inside. Pushing it open quietly, I saw James Turner and Anna Hart both turn to look at me. James frowned. "Didn't you say you had lessons to prepare? Why did you come back later than us?" The explanation caught in my throat. I swallowed it down and said nothing. Anna stood up, her voice light and casual. "The weather report said there would be a snowstorm. James was worried it'd be dangerous for me to go back alone, so he asked me to stay here tonight. Don't misunderstand." I curved my lips into the shadow of a smile, but said nothing, simply turning toward the guest room. James was at a loss for words, and could only follow after me. Just then a knock came at the door. He opened it to find our neighbor, Mrs. Seong, standing there. "James, these are soft-boiled eggs. I cooked them while helping my son study. I wanted Chloe to have them while they're still hot." James stiffened, taking them awkwardly. A long while later, he knocked on my door. "Chloe, Mrs. Jang brought you soft-boiled eggs. Come eat some." I kept my eyes shut, curled up, clutching my stomach. I didn't answer. He stood there hesitating for a few seconds before finally walking away. By midnight, I could no longer endure it. The pain in my stomach grew sharper and sharper. Struggling, I dragged myself up and hunched forward into the living room. The motion sensor light flicked on. From the study, James emerged, carrying Anna Hart, wrapped tightly like a cocoon. Anna's fever is high. I'm taking her to the military hospital. Stay home. The front door opened wide, then shut quickly as the engine started. My hand pressed weakly against the door frame before all strength left me. I collapsed to the floor. Warm blood soaked through my white underwear. The next morning, after emergency treatment, I was transferred to a regular ward. In the hallway, I came face to face with James and Anna, who was now in a wheelchair. Chloe, why are you at the hospital? Anna really did have a fever. Don't overthink it, or come here to cause trouble. James's voice was tight with impatience. Anna tugged at his sleeve, whispering softly, "Don't. It's all my fault. Don't talk to Chloe like that." James reached out, wanting to pull me away. The force of it pressed against my tender wound. I trembled, biting through my cracked lips. Just then, Mrs. Jang came rushing over with chicken soup. She shoved James's hand aside and asked in a trembling voice, "Miss Warren, are you still in pain?" Her hand stroked my pale face with distress. "It's all right," I whispered. "I can try again in the future." Her words caught in my chest, but she was shoved back by James. His gaze dropped to my abdomen, puzzled. What pain? Was it just cramps? Mrs. Jang's eyes blazed as she snapped, "Cramps?" She miscarried. "Your son is gone. If you want to argue, take it outside. This is a hospital." Nurses hurried to help me back into the ward. James froze, starting to follow when Anna tried to stand but stumbled and fell to her knees. "What nonsense are you saying?" James rushed to help her up, his face tense as he turned back toward her. "If only I hadn't stayed at your house last night," Anna murmured. "It's my fault. I should go apologize to Chloe." "You're not wrong. She was already pregnant. If she was careless, who else can she blame?" James's merciless words echoed down the hall. Every word pierced my ears. Yes, it was my fault. From the very beginning, I never should have softened. Never should have thought of bringing the child who hadn't survived in my past life into this world again. Perhaps it was fate. A life unwelcome in this world had no reason to come. For an entire week, James never visited me. Mrs. Jang said he hadn't been home either, probably out on duty. That's what it means to marry a soldier. From the day our baby was born until he would have turned 1, he had never once seen his father. I lifted my eyes from the newspaper. I reminded myself there were only 4 days left. Thinking that, I gave a faint smile and replied softly, "It's all right. He's busy with work and I've already recovered." It was nearly time for me to be discharged to head to the train station and buy a ticket home for New Year. I had to return to my parents' house to celebrate the holiday. The falling snow was a sign of a good harvest. Next year would surely be better. At the station, the ticket hall was crowded. After waiting in line with difficulty, it was finally my turn. My hair was damp with melting snow as I spoke. "1 ticket to Sterling City, please." Tickets to Sterling City are sold out. What about connecting tickets? None left either. Everything is sold out. Numb, I squeezed my way out of the crowd. If I couldn't get back to Sterling City, I wouldn't make it home in time for the new year. "Miss, here, take this ticket." Suddenly, a train ticket to Sterling City appeared in front of me. Beyond it was a round, familiar face. "Chloe Warren, is it really you?" I looked up and the handsome silhouette from my youth came into focus. My eyes brightened. "Samuel White, what are you doing here?" "The Research Institute." "Here, miss. Have some white rabbit candy." A little girl, 3 or 4 years old, grinned, showing 2 tiny fangs. Her name was as sweet as her smile. "Lily, come here." I quickly accepted the ticket and candy, thanking him warmly. "Samuel, your daughter is adorable." I gazed at him with admiration. He gave a faint smile, though his eyes carried a shadow of pain. "Her mother passed away early. She's been raised by me alone, so she learned quickly to read people's faces. This year, I planned to take her back home for New Year, but a project came up. I never expected to run into you here. It's been what, 7 years since we last met? I nodded. Yes, 7 years. Back then, Samuel and I had both applied to North Lake University. Everyone thought we'd end up together. Childhood sweethearts as we were, but the feelings never came. He stayed on after graduate school, working at the institute. And you? Samuel asked. I smiled faintly. I'm preparing for divorce. Night had fallen. Samuel held Lily's hand as he walked me to the gate. When you get home, give my regards to your parents. All right. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Miss, when you get home, please think about becoming my mommy. I couldn't help laughing, my eyes curling. I pinched the little girl's chubby cheeks. All right then. Call me mommy now. The three of us walked together, talking and laughing until suddenly James Turner's silent figure appeared behind us. Chloe Warren, you couldn't even keep your own child alive. And now you're acting like someone's mother. My smile froze. Without turning back, I said to Samuel, this is far enough. Take Lily home. The two men's gazes locked. Samuel said nothing, only led his daughter away. As father and daughter disappeared into the distance, Anna Hart's scolding voice rang out behind me. Chloe, you got discharged without telling us. James came rushing back from base, frantic when he couldn't find you. And here you are flirting with another man. A laugh escaped me. I turned and saw James and Anna standing together. The wind cut through, scattering the last traces of my smile. I tilted my head at Anna. If you cherished him so much, why did you leave him in the first place? Anna faltered, words choking. If you hadn't deliberately fallen into the water and clung to James, I never would have been forced to stay abroad. A bitter smile touched my lips. So the two of you loved each other all along, and I was the fool. If it had been me, I would never have let go. When someone loves with their whole heart, how could they bear to? James's face darkened as though struck at his weakest point. Anna rushed to explain. James, listen to me. Say whatever you want. I cut in, brushing past them with steps lighter than they had ever been. Only 4 more days and everything would be over. On the 3rd day of the countdown, dawn had just broken. White smoke from the kitchen chimney curled upward. Inside, James Turner was busy at the stove. When I woke, I froze for a moment. You're up, James said quickly. Good timing. The porridge is ready. Go wash your face. He was wearing an apron, carrying a steaming bowl of congee out from the kitchen. For a split second, it felt unreal, like I was dreaming. A scene I had imagined so many times, now suddenly real. How is it? Tastes good, he asked, a hint of nervousness in his tone. I lifted the spoon and nodded. Century egg and pork too. It was my favorite dish. Anna can't stand the smell of century eggs. I peeled one without thinking, but lucky for me you like it. The congee lodged in my throat. I forced it down and set the spoon aside. Thanks, I'm full. I stood to leave, but James grabbed the thermos and followed me. Wait, I'll take you. No need. I'll take the bus. Today was my last day at the school. I didn't want any more complications. It's fine, he said, lifting the thermos. I'll bring this to Anna too. Yesterday, she came with me to look for you and caught a chill. I made some porridge for her. You know, she really has no one to rely on right now. I didn't want to hear another word. Then go give it to her. Turning away, I didn't look back. The principal had arranged a simple farewell for me. Several close colleagues clung to my hand, reluctant to let go. Miss Warren, everyone is sad you're leaving. Commander Turner, how could you let her resign and go back to Sterling City? After this, will we ever see her again? I froze, just about to answer when a doubtful voice came from the doorway. You're resigning? I turned and saw James standing there, snow clinging to his coat. I faltered for a second, but before the principal could respond, I cut in. He signed it himself. It was his agreement. James was left speechless. He didn't ask again. Outside, the snow was heavy, and we took our leave. I said goodbye to my colleagues. James followed behind, holding an umbrella over me, watching my slender back. Something unexplainable stirred inside him. The day after tomorrow, I'm on leave. Let's go skiing. All right. Haven't you always wanted to? I have things to do today. Still need to pack, buy a few things, then finish first. After that, we'll go. He quickened his pace, tilting the umbrella toward me. From now on. I stopped in my tracks. James Turner, we don't have a from now on. He froze, snow falling off the umbrella. What did you say? He tilted his head, trying to read my expression. I smiled faintly, shaking my head. Nothing. We'll do as you say. In truth, the bus for the ski resort left the next evening. There would still be time. Hearing my reluctant agreement, the frown on his face finally eased. If you'd thought this way earlier, it would have been better. From now on, Anna will be working with me on missions. You can't be jealous of her. As the commander's wife, you should set an example for the other officers' wives. I lowered my gaze and said nothing. James studied me from the corner of his eye. Lately he had noticed something unusual in my emotions but couldn't grasp the reason. Perhaps it was because he and Anna were too close. Guilt brushed past his heart. For once he tried to make amends. The day after tomorrow, we'll ski together. You've asked me about it so many times. It's rare for me to have time. Let me take you. I murmured softly in reply. Don't worry, he added. Even if the snow's heavy, you have me. Tonight and tomorrow I'm on duty. The day after tomorrow, 10 a.m., I'll wait for you at the ski resort gate. I won't leave until I see you. For some reason, my heart felt lighter. There was no heaviness in saying goodbye. We exchanged smiles. James pressed the umbrella handle into my hand, then changed his tone. Anna's still waiting in the car. I'll take her back first. Be careful on the road. All right. I gripped the umbrella handle tightly, watching his figure fade into the distance. James Turner, this will be the last time. Consider it my farewell to the short-lived love, and the ending I give to my own mistake. 2 days later, the countdown reached 0. That day, sunlight appeared for once. At the Triumph Ski Resort, I stood at the foot of the snow-covered mountain, tilting my head back to take in the dazzling white peak. I had come early, hoping for a bit of luck to catch the sight of Golden Mountain beneath the rising sun. But thick clouds covered the sky, blocking all sunlight. Another heavy snowfall seemed imminent. The resort opened at 8. By 10, crowds streamed in continuously. I stayed where I was, eyes fixed on the road's bend. Couples holding hands passed by. Families of 3 passed by. In total, 26 cars curved around the corner, but James's Jeep never appeared. Soon a guard walked over. Mrs. Turner, Captain James, took Anna Hart to the hospital. She was injured in a fall. Don't wait anymore. I froze, remembering his firm words 2 days earlier. Then I laughed out loud. I should have known. James Turner once again. You tricked me into waiting for you, but this will be the last time. I thanked the guard, then stomped my frozen feet toward the small newspaper stand nearby. Sir, may I make a call here? The round-faced owner cradled a teacup, sipping hot water. He looked up, startled at my pale, forced smile. Good heavens, your face is turning purple. Get inside and warm up. My eyes stung, tears burning at the corners. 2 years together with James. Yet the warmth of a stranger's concern outweighed it all. I brushed away the dampness at the edge of my eyes, lifted the receiver, and dialed. After only 2 rings, Samuel White's voice came through. I've got your divorce agreement. The commissar signed and stamped it. Tonight, I'll bring your luggage from my place to the station. Samuel. My voice trembled as I cut him off. I'm not waiting for him anymore. I'm leaving now. Could you bring my things to the station right away? There was a moment of silence on the other end. All right. Then the line went dead. I left behind a quick word of thanks before heading for the bus stop. The shop owner called after me curiously. Quarreling with your husband? So you're running home to your parents? I shook my head. Not quarreling? Divorcing. He frowned. Divorce? Why? That's no reason to go this far. My throat closed. Because today he stood me up. Because of that bowl of century egg congee, or because when I miscarried, he chose to care for Anna Hart instead. Perhaps none of those. After a moment I answered softly, because of a handful of sunflower seeds. I drew in a sharp breath of icy air. That handful of sunflower seeds had choked the life out of my heart. From now on, I would never touch them again, and I never wanted to see him again. I tore the train ticket into pieces, tossed it into the trash, and stepped onto the bus bound for the station. This time, I did not look back. James Turner, this is goodbye forever. By evening, at the military hospital, Anna Hart lay pale on the bed. James, thank you. Without you, I might have lost my leg. Seeing her bandaged, James gave a few instructions before leaving. As soon as he returned to base, he hurried to call the military housing complex. Today was the day he was supposed to take Chloe skiing. But Anna had suddenly slipped on the dorm stairs, spiked a fever, nearly convulsed, and he had missed the appointment. She wouldn't have been foolish enough to wait for me at the mountain all day, would she? James's brows knitted tightly. On the other end of the line, no one called Chloe out. His unease deepened. Could it be? Was she really still waiting there? No. He had to go check. Just as he was about to leave, a guard's voice rang out. Commander Turner, someone's here to see you. He looked up. James froze when he saw who it was, Samuel White. His brows furrowed deeper, a flicker of rejection in his eyes. The memory of Samuel's daughter calling me Mom only days ago was still vivid. Samuel walked in calmly, shot James a brief glance, then pulled 2 sheets of paper from his briefcase and handed them over. Chloe asked me to give these to you. Don't misunderstand. I'm only helping her because we used to be neighbors back in Sterling City, and because she didn't think it convenient to bring them herself. James's face hardened in confusion. Not convenient? What do you mean? Take a look and you'll understand. I have things to do. I'll be going. James wanted to question further, but Samuel didn't bother. He turned and left without another word. James quickly unfolded the thin stack in his hand. His pupils shrank. For large words leapt out at him. Divorce agreement. Plaintiff, Chloe Warren. Defendant, James Turner. Reason, irreconcilable differences. Settlement, voluntary divorce. She leaves with nothing. James's heart jolted violently. His eyes darted downward only to see his own sweeping signature at the bottom. Impossible. When had he ever signed this? He flipped the page. The glaring red stamp of the commissar confirmed it. It was already official, but Chloe had never said a word. Just a few days ago, she had nodded and agreed to go skiing. His hands trembled so badly he could hardly hold the papers. He tore out of the office and rushed to the family housing complex. Everything inside their quarters looked untouched at first glance, but with one look, he knew her things were gone. He ran to the bedroom, empty. Not a single trace remained. It was as though she had never lived there. Stumbling back, fragments of memory surged into his mind, and suddenly it all made sense. The transfer request she had forced him to sign had been the divorce papers. The resignation she filed was nothing but a cover. The commissar's aide urged him to take it back while there's still time. It had all been about this. She had planned to leave him from the very start, and he hadn't noticed a thing. He raced to Triumph Ski Resort, but only heard that she had already been there. If so, then she was surely at the train station now. With that thought, James sped off toward the station. At the terminal, the loudspeaker blared. Passengers for Sterling City, prepare your luggage and line up for boarding. After a long day of waiting, my face was calm. Carrying my simple luggage, I looked around the modest station before stepping toward the platform. The new year was close. The boarding line stretched long, but the thought of finally seeing my parents after so many years made me smile unconsciously. 1 person, 2, 3. I counted silently as each passenger stepped forward. At last, it was my turn. The moment I handed over my ticket, a familiar figure broke into my view. James Turner, his face drawn with worry. I froze for just a heartbeat, never expecting him to appear, but my hand moved faster. I gave the ticket, turned, and stepped straight onto the train without looking back. The whistle blew. Sitting inside the carriage, I looked out at the frantic figure beyond the window. Goodbye forever. The most familiar stranger. As the train began to move, James finally caught sight of me through the glass. He shouted hoarsely, Chloe Warren. Chloe, look at me. His voice cracked as he sprinted along the platform. For one fleeting instant, I did turn my head. Our eyes nearly met. But almost immediately, I looked away again. James ran harder, sweat streaming down his forehead despite the icy air, his whole body shaking in the cold. "Comrade, you can't run here. Please step back." Station staff rushed to block him. He pressed forward, chasing the train, his brows twisted in agony. No matter how he fought, it was useless. With the weight of duty still on his shoulders, he had no choice but to let go. Finally, he stopped, turned and walked away. Back at the military housing complex, James Turner shivered at the desolate silence. The house was empty. No smile to greet him with a welcome home, James. No one to light the stove and warm the air. No one to cook hot soup and urge him to wash his hands for dinner. Only the blackened stove, lifeless after the fire died out. The spotless table as though no one had ever touched the kitchen. James suddenly realized it had been a long time since Chloe last asked if he'd eaten. Half a month at least. What had happened that she had kept hidden, carrying out a divorce in silence? He went to the commissar, who gave him a cold glance. "It's your signature. What else is there to argue? The divorce is already official. A man who doesn't know how to cherish what he has regrets too late now." The commissar had in fact tried persuading Chloe before, but she had been so determined that no words could move her. She told him, "My parents live far away. They need me to take care of them. I don't want to stay here anymore. Between me and James Turner, there's no love left. If I remain, I'd rather die than continue." Afraid something drastic might happen, and knowing how hard it had been to hire a teacher like her for this frozen region, the commissar had agreed, on the condition James himself signed. And the fool really had. James couldn't remember how he even left the unit that day. How could it have fallen exactly on today, the day she had promised to go skiing with him? Did he simply forget? But he truly had an urgent matter then. Staggering home, he crossed paths with Mrs. Zhang from next door, carrying a water bucket. She glanced at him coldly. "Oh, Captain Turner, done with work already?" Her tone was laced with sarcasm, making the disdain plain. Startled, he asked, "Sister Zhang, did my wife offend you somehow?" She snorted. "Offend me? Not at all. But a man who eats from one bowl, while staring into another like you? I despise men like that. Poor Miss Warren, cursed to marry you. Must have been bad luck carried over 8 generations." James's face stiffened as he understood. She had misunderstood him and Anna Hart. "That's not what you think," he explained quickly. "There's nothing between me and Anna." "I don't care how it is," she cut him off. "If my husband dared flirt with another woman in front of me, I'd break his legs on the spot." She spat in disdain and disappeared inside. James flushed pale with shame, unable to say a word. Could it be Chloe divorced me because of this gossip? Then why didn't she tell me directly? He looked up, only to see her door shut tight. For days afterward, James wandered like a lost soul. He wanted to find Samuel White, but Samuel had left on business to another county. He wanted to find Chloe, but duty swallowed him whole. Each night, he returned to the same cold house. No laughter, no woman's touch to keep things in order. The emptiness gnawed at him. 2 months later, in Sterling City, I had already grown used to my new school. After class, I rushed to prepare for the library. My parents had arranged the job for me at a nearby school, and the children here were obedient and easy to teach. As I stepped out the gate, a familiar voice called my name. I turned, eyes lighting up. "Samuel, what are you doing here?" Little Lily came flying into my arms like a firecracker. "Mommy, why did you take so long to visit me?" I pinched her plump, rosy cheeks. Samuel had truly raised her well. "We just finished a project," Samuel said. "So, I brought her back to Sterling City. She insisted on seeing you. Once she found out the school's address, she dragged me here." He ruffled her hair with a helpless smile. "At first, I didn't want to spoil her, but she's my only daughter. I couldn't bring myself to say no. Sorry to bother you." I quickly shook my head and picked Lily up. "Not at all. I'm free. All the more reason, you helped me so much before. And besides, I had always liked little Lily." 2 months after I returned home, my parents learned about the divorce. They didn't say much. Unlike other parents who might have rushed to arrange another marriage, my parents never once reproached me. They only said, "As long as you've thought it through, that's enough." "I heard you're planning to take the graduate school entrance exam." Samuel walked beside me and asked. "Outside of teaching, I don't have much else to do. Might as well keep studying," I answered with a smile. In my past life, I had given everything to James Turner. In this one, after so much struggle, I finally had the chance to rebuild myself from scratch. "Mommy, Lily missed you so much." The little girl pouted, sulking the moment she felt ignored. "Lily, how many times has Daddy told you not to call people that? If others misunderstand, it's not good," Samuel scolded gently. I only smiled and shook my head. "It's fine. A foster mother is still a mother. I don't care what others say." "See, I was right." Lily clapped happily. Samuel sighed helplessly. "Sorry to trouble you again." "What trouble? Just invite me out for hot pot sometime," I teased, looking at the child, my chest aching. If my own child had lived, he would have been just as sweet and well-behaved. After hot pot, it was already late evening. Samuel and I walked back together, Lily dozing on his back. "Which city will you take the exam in?" he asked suddenly. I lowered my head and thought. "Maybe up north. Coincidentally, you said you'll be working there too." He nodded firmly, as if convinced I would succeed. "When that time comes, we'll meet again." I chuckled lightly. What if I fail? Honestly, staying with my parents wouldn't be so bad either. If I pass, that's just a bonus. Thinking of failure before even trying? Who does that? He laughed. Back at home, my parents were still awake and pulled him inside to chat. Half asleep, Lily perked up the moment she saw me. "Mommy, I want you to hold me." Caught off guard, I quickly explained to my parents. Back at the base, Samuel once gave me a train ticket. Since then, Lily's gotten used to calling me that. Just foster mom. Samuel hurried to scoop her up. "Lily, don't call her that. Say Auntie Chloe. She's only spoiling you." I smiled and shook my head. "Let her. She's like our niece anyway. She lost her mother so young. It's pitiful." After a few more minutes, Samuel excused himself, saying it was late. My mother nudged me to see him out. In the pale moonlight, Samuel adjusted his glasses, his eyes apologetic. "Sorry again for bothering you." I looped my arm lightly. "I already told you I'm her foster mom. It's no trouble at all." He smiled. "Say goodbye to your foster mom, Lily." I stood there watching their figures disappear into the night. My eyes stung as I tilted my head toward the crescent moon. Pulling my coat tighter, I shivered in the early spring chill. Just as I turned back, a familiar voice rang out. "Chloe." The sound was so unexpected I almost didn't believe it. Spinning around, I saw him. James Turner in uniform, looking at me with raw emotion. Moments later, he rushed forward. "Why are you here?" By instinct, I stepped back, my expression cold. Memories surged up like a tide. In my past life, how many times had I begged him to come home for New Year, only to be met with the same words. "I'm busy. I don't have time." "I've been looking for you for 2 months, he said, his voice thick. "No matter how angry you were, you should have cooled off by now." He stared at me as if I had become a different person, his eyes filled with longing. I frowned. "Comrade Turner, please call me Comrade Warren or Chloe Warren. And besides, we're already divorced." My icy tone made his chest tighten painfully. He clenched his teeth. "Then what exactly is your relationship with Samuel White? Why was he at your house in the middle of the night? Why does his daughter still call you mom? Chloe, have you really erased the child we lost from your heart?" From the school all the way home, his voice echoed in my ears. He had been following the three of us all along. I laughed so freely with Samuel White, yet never spared James Turner even a smile. He had forced himself to endure for so long. But finally, his questions burst out without reason. I couldn't help but laugh. What does it matter what my relationship with him is? I don't owe you any explanation. I don't know how you found my house, but I'm asking you to leave now. If not, I'll call the police. The cold, decisive tone stunned him. James had always thought I was only angry. Anger, in his mind, had limits. "I've been throwing myself into work all so I could take leave in Sterling City and bring you home," he argued, the pride of a soldier flashing in his words. Comrade Turner. I cut him off, my voice sharp. Our child died by your own hands. Between us now is nothing but divorce. A man and a woman alone in the middle of the night. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. I never expected him to appear in front of me again. But seeing him now, my heart was utterly still. In my past life, I had never dared leave him. I had never been able to make these choices. Only now did I understand. Sometimes you only know the value of a decision by the courage it takes to make it. I turned back into the house, ignoring his reaction. Don't forget, you're still a soldier, I reminded him, my voice echoing from inside. James froze on the spot, powerless. He waited until every light in my house went dark before finally turning to leave. At the Grand View Hotel, Anna Hart immediately asked, "How did it go? Did you find her?" Seeing James return dejected, a flash of satisfaction crossed her face, though she quickly masked it with concern. She stepped forward, feigning sympathy. He shook his head, then gave a slight nod. She wouldn't see me. Anna widened her eyes and mocked disbelief. Impossible. Chloe just has a strong temper. You talk gently. There's no way she'd refuse you. James' thoughts returned to my resolute expression, his brows drawing tighter. Seeing his silence, Anna pressed on, lips pursed. She's still angry. Lower your pride. I don't believe there's a woman alive who won't soften. James looked at her. You really think so? But my coldness had shown no sign of giving in. Still, Anna leaned closer. I'm a woman too. Don't you understand what she's thinking? It's not that she doesn't care about you. She just thinks your apology isn't sincere enough, not romantic enough. When Western men anger their wives, they buy flowers, you know. Anna rattled on, her words flowing endlessly. James stared at her, barely blinking. For 2 months without me, his life had fallen into disarray. When I was home, everything had been cared for. Hot meals waiting, a warm bed, a fire, and the stove. Now all he returned to was cold bedding and an empty kitchen. Only now did he realize how good I had been to him. The next morning, I rose early. I had self-study to supervise at school. Stepping out the door, I immediately ran into James. He was in civilian clothes this time, without the stern air of his uniform. I instinctively moved to avoid him, but he trailed after me. Chloe, at least give me a chance to talk to you. Anna said I have to find an opportunity first, even if it means being shameless. Only then can I move forward. So I got up early today just to walk you to school and talk. Last night was nighttime, I thought coldly. Now it's broad daylight, and there are plenty of people up exercising. He dares to block me in public. My expression darkened. We have nothing to talk about. Chloe, I know you're still angry, but I know I was wrong and I'll change. I had never seen James so humble, lowering himself like this. I glanced sideways, almost amused. And what exactly do you think you did wrong? After so many years together, how could I not understand this man? Maybe he was only bowing his head for the moment. Whether he truly understood what he'd done wrong was still questionable. Perhaps in his heart, he believed he hadn't been wrong at all, only that he had spent too much time with Anna Hart. Anna is my friend. She needs my care. Not considering your feelings, that was my fault. But every time you got jealous, it irritated me. So really, we're both at fault. Hearing him say this, James Turner thought I was finally willing to acknowledge him, maybe even beginning to seriously reflect on our problems. On your way to class, and who's this? A passing neighbor spotted us, and eyed him wearily. James was about to say he was my husband, but I quickly stepped forward. The road to Golden School Street is straight ahead. Keep going and you'll get there. I added, I need to get to work. Excuse me. I exhaled softly, greeted the neighbor, then turned and walked away quickly. I knew men like James Turner. How could he ever admit he was wrong? In his eyes, I was only a petty, jealous woman, a nuisance blocking his so-called selfless devotion to others. He froze where he stood, about to follow. But the neighbor stepped in front of him. Hey, don't follow our Chloe. She's the pride of this community. Her parents treasure her more than life itself. A stranger like you should stay far away. The words carried not a shred of courtesy. Once the pride of the military, James suddenly found himself reduced to nothing here. I'm Chloe Warren's man. I came to take her home, he blurted. The neighbor's eyes flared. Scoundrel. Shameless. You can't win her, so you smear her reputation. Get out of our neighborhood. James stood there stunned. He hadn't expected Chloe's neighbors to be so sharp. Compared to them, Chloe had been remarkably gentle. Regret stabbed him anew. When he saw the neighbor heading off to call others, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and leave. On my way to school, I walked quickly, afraid James might try to follow. Every time I saw him now, I felt nothing but disgust. You're out early today, came a familiar voice. I turned to see Samuel White sitting in a breakfast shop, smiling at me, while little Lily nibbled on a fried cruller longer than her head. The moment she saw me, she tried to run over, but Samuel held her back. Auntie has to go to work, sit here, and finish your breakfast like a good girl. He was stricter than usual, probably because of what had happened last night. Lily pouted, looking pitiful, and I couldn't help laughing. I have class, but after school I'll play with you again. You have to promise, she insisted, dropping her cruller and grinning brightly. I nodded. I keep my promises, especially to children. Samuel sighed apologetically. Sorry to trouble you again, Chloe. I shook my head. It's no trouble at all. My own child had never made it into this world. Now with Lily calling me foster mother. She truly felt like my daughter, not a replacement, not a reminder of the past, just my little girl. I waved goodbye to the two of them, and hurried off toward school. Don't forget to bring back the bamboo shoots I ordered, Samuel called after me. Dad, we haven't finished eating yet, Lily protested, pointing at the cruller she'd only taken a few bites of. He ruffled her hair. Grandma and Grandpa are waiting for us to bring breakfast home. We'll eat together. The little girl nodded seriously. Oh, then when do we go pick up Mommy? He laughed. Not until this afternoon at the earliest. Let's go home first. If you cling to Auntie, she won't get anything done. You have to behave. She pursed her lips, not fully understanding, but obeyed. As Samuel carried his daughter back, he ran straight into James Turner, whose eyes were blazing with fury. Samuel White. Why are you here? James demanded. In his mind, there had to be something between me and Samuel. Samuel's gaze was steady. Chloe and I grew up together. That's all. James blinked, caught off guard, then understood. You abandoned her, and now you come crawling back. What meaning does that have? But Samuel didn't care whether James understood or not. He didn't even want to. James stood frozen, his eyes locked on the little girl in Samuel's arms. His voice dropped low, bitter. How could she call you Mom? She abandoned her own child but took in yours. Do you really believe that? The more James Turner spoke, the more agitated he became, convincing himself he was right. Samuel White's expression turned to ice. Looks like that divorce paper took your brain along with it, saying such nonsense in front of a child. Do you have any sense of what it means to be a soldier? The sarcasm landed like a slap, leaving James pale. Don't tell me you don't know how Chloe lost her baby. If you're unclear, go ask the neighbor who rushed her to the hospital that day. A man who betrays his wife the way you did. Honestly, I feel ashamed even speaking to you. Each word cut like a knife. James faltered, choking on his own defense, but forced himself to speak. How would you know all that? Who knows what's really going on between you two? Maybe you're just covering for her. Samuel shielded his daughter's ears with one hand and spoke coldly. If you came here to make accusations, don't forget you and Chloe are divorced. From now on, whatever she does has nothing to do with you. To her, you're nothing but a stranger. Those words left James hollow, his posture sagging. Daddy, isn't this the same man who's always with Auntie Anna? What does he have to do with Mommy? Lily asked innocently. Samuel chuckled. Exactly. I don't know what right he thinks he has either. With that, he carried his daughter and walked straight past James. Her words pierced James like a thorn. Had I really been too close to Anna Hart? Impossible. I only ever helped her. I never crossed any lines. If they misunderstood, it's because their minds are dirty. He shook off the thought. He wouldn't argue further here. He needed to confront Chloe directly about Samuel, about everything. Miss Warren, there's an academic seminar in North City. Would you like to attend? The head of academic affairs stopped me right after class. As a new teacher, I did need to build up credentials. After thinking for a moment, I nodded. I'll go. The trip was scheduled for the next day. I exhaled in relief. At least it didn't clash with my promise to Lily. After school, stepping out the gate, I froze. Chloe Warren, do you see me and not bother to greet me? Anna Hart lifted her chin, her tone haughty. I smiled faintly. On what grounds should an ordinary citizen be required to greet you? Anna scoffed. Still pretending? Even now your attitude toward me hasn't changed. Her voice rose, drawing curious stares. She frowned and snapped, come with me. I laughed out loud. And why exactly should I listen to you? What authority do you think you have? Anna's eyes narrowed. You're bold enough to act arrogant in front of me, but in front of James Turner, you don't even dare breathe. Has no one ever told you how fake you are? Once back in the military, I had kept silent, desperate only to secure a divorce, desperate to avoid further entanglement. But now silence was no longer necessary. Her face darkened. She had never realized before that I had such a sharp tongue. But even so, she sneered. Words are useless. A man you don't have is a man you'll never have. Her irritation was clear. She had thought that once I left, she and James would fall into place naturally. Yet to her shock, he regretted everything and sought only to win me back. Fear not at her that he might come here and be taken from her again. So she showed up, looking for a chance to warn me, to put me in my place. I let out a cold laugh. A shameless man and a petty woman. Truly a match made in heaven. Rest assured, that kind of man, I wouldn't touch him if my life depended on it. If he ever came back into my world, it would be nothing but a nightmare. My voice was cold, laced with the bitterness of a past life. After all, wasn't my previous lifetime nothing more than a nightmare? Anna faltered at my response, momentarily lost for words. She tried again, but weaker this time. Don't pretend you don't care. I'm warning you. Stay away from James Turner. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Her words landed like a guilty whisper, as though she already knew the truth of what I had said. Director Hart clearly hadn't expected that in private. She enjoyed threatening others like this. Truly eye-opening, I thought, when suddenly, a warm male voice sounded behind her. My heart stiffened. Little Lily ran to my side and tugged at my hand. Mommy, let's go. We don't play with bad people. I froze. You too? What are you doing here? Auntie was going to visit after work. Samuel White stepped out from behind Anna, smiling faintly. Why so startled, forgetting things already, Director Hart? Or are you just too busy? Her limbs went rigid. From now on, I would no longer be at the base. But Samuel still would be. If even one telegram made it to the commissar, she could lose everything. She cursed silently but managed to choke out. Do you really treat his daughter as your own? I frowned. What does that have to do with you? You show up spouting nonsense out of nowhere. My disgust toward Anna had already reached its limit. You're so heartless, she sneered. You abandoned your own child, but now you're raising someone else's. I gave a soft laugh. If it weren't for you, maybe my child would still be alive and calling me mommy right now. The happiest person when I lost that baby wasn't me. It was you, wasn't it? Anna was struck dumb. She had thought bringing up my loss would make me falter. Instead, I hadn't even flinched. I'd struck back. Gathering myself, I said coldly, Excuse me, I have things to do. And take your James Turner back early. I don't want anything to do with him anymore. The fact I haven't already dealt with you two should be seen as my generosity. Her lips twitched hard. She couldn't hold back. I don't believe you can really cut him off that easily. What are you pretending for? Weren't you the one who clung to him demanding marriage back then? Her voice rose louder and louder, drawing stares from everyone nearby. Several parents who knew me rushed over. Miss Warren, are you okay? Do you need help? Who are you to be making a scene outside our school? Anna hadn't expected so many people to take my side. I quickly waved them off. It's fine. Just some lunatics shouting nonsense. Don't waste your time. Go home. Eat with your kids. Spend time with them. That's what matters most. Hearing that, the parents dispersed. Anna's face darkened. She dared call me a lunatic. If Director Hart keeps causing trouble, Samuel finally spoke up, his patience thinning. I'll send a telegram back to the base. Better let Chloe handle her own affairs. But if you keep harassing her, anyone would lose their temper. Anna wanted to retort, but with his words hanging heavy, she could only leave, seething with resentment. I exhaled and turned to Samuel. Thank you for Lily's sake as well. Thank your auntie. She was already anxious to spend time with you, he told his daughter calmly, patting her head. Lily beamed. Mommy, I want to go to Maple Lake Park. There's a carousel, and I want to ride the horses. I nodded. Of course. Then I glanced at Samuel. But tomorrow I have to go to North City for work. Lily might not see me for a while. He paused. When will you be back? About a month. The trains are so slow. It takes more than 10 days just to get there and back. I'll be heading north soon too, to submit some paperwork, he said naturally. We could take the same train. I looked down at Lily. And what about her? Is she going? He shook his head gently. No, she'll stay with my parents. I'm not bringing her on such a long ride. Last time we went to the base, we got caught in a snowstorm and they worried sick. I gazed at the little girl. Of course it pained me. She was so sweet, so well-behaved. Losing her mother so young. In my past life, I had never even met Samuel. I hadn't known his wife had died early. At first, I couldn't believe it. But looking at him now, steady, calm, unchanged from memory, I knew it was true. He was always calm and courteous. Seeing the sharp side of him today was rare. At least I've witnessed it once, I thought. I took Lily to the park for over an hour, then headed home to pack my bags. A trip of just a few days might feel like last time, as if I'd vanished for half a year, before stumbling back, exhausted. When my mother heard I had to travel for work, she was beside herself with worry. For as long as I packed, she nagged. At first, I patiently explained, but eventually my ears felt stuffed with cotton, and I gave up. Exasperated, I looked at her. Mom, all my papers are here at home. What could I possibly be doing in North City? I'm already back. That means I've thought things through. I won't marry far away again. As for marriage, my parents hadn't mentioned it, and I certainly didn't want to think about it yet. I only said it to ease their minds. Enough fussing. My father's voice called from the living room. Let her finish packing and get some rest. My mother froze, then gave me a long, hard look. Remember what you just said? If you ever drag home another husband from the far ends of the earth, I won't care anymore. I laughed softly at her temper. I know, Mom. The old mistake had scarred my life. I wouldn't fall in the same place twice. But then she sighed. Still, you should consider Samuel White. His wife passed away. He hasn't remarried. Just one daughter. You've been divorced. It matches. I nearly choked. No, no, no. Mom, don't say things like that. Samuel and I are too familiar. We could never be husband and wife, and don't you dare ask someone to play matchmaker. She narrowed her eyes. So you're looking down on him because he has a daughter? Of course not, I protested. There's nothing between us. Please just stop. Perhaps because Lily called me Mom, my parents had misunderstood. I resolved to explain it clearly. Even after hearing me out, my mother still looked reluctant, but she grudgingly nodded. Fine, but if you ever do choose again, it better be someone like Samuel. That last one you picked, your father took one look and said he was no good. Heartless, that's what he was. Every mention of James Turner stoked her anger. I stayed silent, letting her vent. Truthfully, she wasn't wrong. Because of him, I had nearly abandoned my entire family to marry far away, only to gain nothing in return, not even his trust. With a man like that, I should have woken up long ago. My mother muttered on for half an hour before finally letting me go to bed. Meanwhile, across town, James sat in his hotel room, his expression clouded in silence. He lingered by the window. Unreadable. Anna Hart had left my school and wandered before returning to the hotel. She failed to notice his strangeness. James, when are we leaving? There's nothing fun here. But the real reason she wanted to go wasn't boredom. She simply didn't want to keep seeing Samuel White with me. James didn't answer. Anna frowned and stepped closer. James, are you even listening? At last, he lifted his head. Dark circles underlined his weary eyes, startling her. What's wrong with you? If you want to leave, then go ahead, he muttered. He didn't answer her question, only tossed the words out. She scowled. What do you mean? You came here with me. You should leave with me. She had already forgotten why she'd come with him in the first place. Go outside. A man and a woman sharing a room only invites suspicion, James said suddenly, sharper, clearer. Anna froze, her face stiffening. Slowly, she sat down again, reaching for his hand. James, what are you saying? Clearly, we're meant to be together. Anna Hart insisted, reaching for his hand. James Turner's eyes flicked to her fingers, and he pulled his hand back at once. Don't talk nonsense. There's nothing between us. At most, we're just like siblings now. Anna's throat tightened. Anger swelled inside her, but she didn't dare explode. Did Chloe Warren say something to you again? Don't believe her. She's just jealous of us. She furrowed her brows, convinced I was trying to drive a wedge between them. You know she's always against me. Whatever she says, don't let her turn you away from me. My parents aren't here. I'm so alone. Her voice trembled like a plea. But James no longer rushed to soothe her like before. Instead, his frown deepened. Anna, she hasn't even said anything. Yet you're so quick to claim she made it up. How did I never notice before? You like to slander others. Memories flashed through his mind. Every time Anna had cried, claiming I bullied her, I had tried desperately to defend myself. And every time, he had chosen to believe her because she looked weak and pitiful while I stood firm and unyielding. Had I been wrong about Chloe all along? Was that why she left quietly, filing for divorce without another word? Anna froze, stunned by his reaction. She hadn't expected it. For a moment, she floundered, then quickly recovered. I misspoke. I just thought maybe she'd told you something bad. So I panicked. It's all my fault. If not for me, you and she wouldn't have ended up like this. But James didn't want to hear another word. He turned his back. I'm tired. Leave. She bit her lip, whispered a soft reply, and reluctantly walked out. Even then, she was already scheming how to hold on to him. Alone, James stood at the window, watching the night fall. His thoughts churned. What have I missed? Why is she always so furious when she sees me? What am I supposed to do? The next morning, I boarded the train with my colleagues. Excitement buzzed inside me. In my last life, I had never set foot in North City. I had only heard of its breathtaking scenery, and I had no chance to see it. Trapped far away, cut off from my family. But this life was different. Now I could see it for myself, feel its culture with my own eyes and heart. The train rattled on for 8 days and 7 nights, finally arriving at dawn. Unlike my hometown, North City blazed with light even before sunrise. Miss Warren, let's stick together, okay? It's so late. You might get lost, a young teacher beside me said as she clutched her luggage. I smiled. All right. In the military district, I had never had real friends. They branded me a jealous, petty woman, and even the other wives avoided me. My real friendships had been back home. But over the years, most faded away. Now back in this new life, I could begin again, make new friends. I finally understood a life not truly your own only leaves you in pain. Letting go brings freedom. Miss Warren, do your parents pressure you to marry? Back at the hotel, the young teacher Wong asked curiously while unpacking her suitcase. I froze, then shook my head. I was married once, but I'm divorced now. My parents don't push me anymore. They're afraid of reopening old wounds. And honestly, if anyone mentions marriage, it has to be me. Otherwise, they'll just worry I'll marry far away again. In this life, marriage no longer held any meaning to me. I had no longing for it at all. My answer hit Miss Wong like a stone tossed into still water, rippling outward. Her eyes went wide, her mouth falling open. No way, really? Who's lucky enough to marry you and then not cherish you? Miss Wong blurted out, her reaction so unexpected that it caught me off guard. I tilted my head, curiosity sparking. Why do you say that? After all, in times like these, divorce was never seen as a good thing, especially for a woman. Even when it wasn't her fault, society always found a way to blame her. Miss Wong shifted, sitting cross-legged on the bed, and let out a small yawn. You're outstanding. Honestly, flawless at school. Plenty of the male teachers want to chase after you. That's why I said it. Marrying you and not treasuring you? He'll definitely regret it. I couldn't help but laugh at her answer. And what if the fault was mine? It was the first time someone had praised me so directly. For a brief moment, I was stunned. I had once been the pride of my parents, the model daughter. Yet in James Turner's eyes, I was nothing more than a jealous, petty woman. All my strengths, all my tenderness had been reduced to background noise. What I thought was happiness had only been the beginning of a nightmare. Now at least it was over. Cut clean. Miss Wang paused, then grinned. Even if the fault was yours, if he couldn't lower himself, then the fault was still his. I pressed my lips together, unwilling to criticize James any further. After all, I wasn't Anna Hart. Instead, I said flatly, it was just the end of fate, and truthfully, it's not a fate I want anymore. Miss Warren, thank you for trusting me with something so important. Aren't you afraid I might slip up and spread it? Miss Wang asked, her brow furrowed with concern. I gave a faint smile. If it comes out, so what? It's not like I can hide the fact I was once married. Better people know. Fewer glances behind my back. Her admiration was plain in her eyes. Miss Warren, you really think ahead? So, what if someone's been married before? Who decided women must guard themselves like jade for a man's sake? Honestly, people in the old days were sometimes more open-minded than now. She sighed, her mood shifting. But my mother, every month, she pushes me to go on blind dates, and I never like any of them. She says the man is ugly or too fat or only finished middle school. When I was in school, my parents urged me to study hard, or I'd only marry a poor man. Now that I've graduated and teach, they tell me not to be picky. Just find someone kind. It's exhausting. I nodded in agreement. You're right. But I'd still advise you to look carefully before you decide. Never act rashly. Hearing that, we shared the same thoughts. Miss Wang's mood lifted. Sometimes people only need someone to agree with them, even if that agreement isn't entirely right. I thought to myself, parents do love their children, but not everyone knows how to love the right way. They think having a job means marriage will be easy, but they don't consider how hard life becomes afterward, or whether their children's salaries can even sustain a family. At least I was lucky. My parents weren't too old-fashioned. Miss Wang chatted on about the conference, relieved that the blind dates would stop for at least a month. When the symposium ends, let's explore North City together. Who knows if I'll ever get another chance. She lay down with a wistful tone. I agreed. Though in my heart I knew I would return because I planned to take the graduate school entrance exam here. North City was part of my future. Its dazzling lights tonight had left me stunned and hopeful. Meanwhile, back in Fairview, on the second day after I boarded the train, James Turner showed up at my parents' house. He carried a pile of gifts and knocked on the door, remembering it was the weekend and I wouldn't be teaching. Who's there? My mother's voice came from inside. James straightened his uniform collar. When the door opened, her brows knitted tightly. And you are? Mother? It's me, James. I came to bring Chloe home, he said with a wide smile, showing all his teeth, convinced he was being polite. But my mother's eyes stayed cold. She gave him a single glance and snapped. I don't know you. Leave. James froze in place, stunned. He scrambled to explain. Chloe and I argued at the base. I've realized my mistake, so I came especially. Please call Chloe out for me. James Turner pleaded, his voice low and urgent. I want to apologize in front of you both. Just let me see her once. The fire in my mother's eyes flared the moment his name, Chloe, tumbled out again and again. Who do you think you are, calling my daughter's name like that every other word? You think she doesn't deserve her dignity? Her tone wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to make James's face go pale. He stammered. Didn't she tell you? Before New Year. She wanted to bring me home to meet you, but things were too busy at the base. His words trailed off in embarrassment. My father stepped out then, his cloudy eyes cool as they swept over James. You two are divorced. Don't bother her anymore. Shut the door. My mother moved to close it, but James pressed his hand against it in desperation. Please just let me see Chloe. We need to talk. I'll explain everything and she'll forgive me. I know she will. She's only angry right now. My father let out a cold laugh. She's my daughter. I know her better than you. When she says it's over, it means she doesn't want anything to do with you. James shook his head stubbornly. No, she's just upset. She once told me she'd stay with me for life. I can't accept this. No matter what you say, I won't give up on her. Please, I'm begging you. Just let me see her. He bowed his head, his posture one of defeat. My father sneered. Keep pestering and I'll call the police. My mother huffed. You still dream of forgiveness? Let me tell you, in this lifetime it won't happen. You'll never be my son-in-law again. And in case you don't know, Chloe isn't even in Fairview anymore. You could wait here forever and never see her. There was relief in her voice as she said it, glad that I had left on a work trip to North City. James froze. Chloe isn't in Fairview? No, they must be lying to him. I just want to see her. I don't mean anything else, he insisted, though his words fell on deaf ears. My father's laugh was icy. You're a soldier, aren't you? Duty to the country above all. I won't say more, but if you keep harassing her, don't blame me for ruining your record. At that, James faltered, his defiance collapsing. Close the door. My father barked. If he's still out there, leave him. If he dares cause trouble again, we'll call the police. The door slammed shut, leaving James staring at the unyielding wood, his face twisted with confusion. For the first time, doubt began to creep in. Could it be true? Was Chloe really no longer in North City? Otherwise, why would she stay hidden, refusing to see him? Had she deliberately left to avoid him completely? He drifted away, lost in thought. For the next 3 days, James haunted the area outside my family's home. More than once, neighbors nearly mistook him for a thief and threatened to chase him off. By now, the entire housing compound knew about his failed marriage. No one sided with him. Instead, whispers circled. He hadn't cherished me. And this was the result. He told himself he'd given me good food, warm clothes, the best housing. If he overthought things, what else could he do? He was busy, always busy. And yet, there was no sign of me. Even after the students returned to school, I never appeared. At last, he had to accept it. I was truly gone. I had left North City, and he had no idea where I'd gone. My parents would never tell him. For the first time in his life, James felt a thin thread of hope snap inside him. He was unsettled, lost, not knowing what to do. James, don't stay here anymore. Anna Hart's voice broke through the murmurs of the crowd. She pushed her way forward, her face pale with worry. For days, James had been disappearing at dawn and returning late at night, sometimes not even going back to the hotel. She had been frantic searching for him. And now finding him like this, surrounded by scornful stares, made her heart ache. Inside, Anna's chest tightened with unease. But the moment James Turner spotted her, his eyes widened in anger. What are you doing here? He snapped. Chloe's parents had already despised him. Now with Anna showing up, their suspicions only deepened. His glare made Anna flinch. I was just worried about you. Look at yourself. What have you turned into? Is it worth destroying yourself over a woman? Her voice carried a tone of reproach. My mother's words cut like a knife. So this is your mistress. You came at the perfect time. Take your man and get him out of here. Don't let him show his face around here again. Anna's eyes lit up with false relief. Let's go. Please just leave with me. But James shoved her away harshly. How long are you planning to follow me around? You know I'm begging Chloe to forgive me. Yet you deliberately show up in front of her parents, making everything worse. What exactly do you want from me? He staggered a step back, then turned. I have no relationship with you. The only wife I've ever had is Chloe. Stop twisting it. That single sentence pierced Anna's chest like a blade. She hadn't expected him to tear away her mask so bluntly, right there in front of everyone. My mother's lips curled in a cold smile. So it's you, the mistress, who stole my daughter's husband. Well, my daughter already said she's handing him over. Congratulations. I wish you both happiness. But hear me clearly. If I ever see him in this compound again, throw him out on sight. I don't want that man anywhere near us. Gasps and whispers spread. The crowd's disapproving stares sharpened into disgust. So she really is a homewrecker. Shameful. Get out of here. Don't poison the children. Anna's face flushed white, then crimson, then white again. Humiliation burned her, but she could do nothing but clench her teeth. "James," she whispered desperately. "You're just going to stand there and let them insult me like this? Please, let's just go." She reached for his arm again. James shook her off. "I'll go on my own." Then, without another glance, he strode away from the compound. Chloe was no longer here. There was no point in staying. Anna watched him storm off, too afraid to pull him back. Silently she followed. Her heart knotted with regret. She knew she had acted recklessly this time. Yet, until James truly let go of Chloe, she would never feel secure. What if one day Chloe forgave him and returned? Then where would that leave her? Just a few steps outside the compound, they ran into Samuel White, suitcase in hand, preparing to leave for a work trip. "Daddy, if you see Mommy, please tell her I miss her." Little Grace clung to her grandfather's arms, reluctant to let go. Samuel stroked her hair gently. "Daddy promises." Mr. White chuckled. "Why is it that Aunt Chloe is the only one this little one ever clings to?" Samuel's voice was calm. "Once this trip is done, I'll take Grace to her maternal grandparents. It's been too long since they've seen her." At the mention of his late wife, Mr. White sighed. "You're right. It's time. You've been back for a while already. Let your mother and me take her. You focus on your work. We'll explain everything to her grandparents. They'll understand." Samuel nodded. "All right. But don't spoil her too much. Discipline is still important." Despite the firmness in his words, his eyes lingered on his daughter with deep reluctance. Grace's lashes glistened with unshed tears. She hadn't been apart from him in so long. "We don't spoil her," Mr. White said, giving him a mock glare. "She's a good girl, but she lost her mother so young. If we dote on her a little more now, it's only natural. Still, we'll make sure she learns what's right." Samuel didn't look convinced, but he said no more. Before Grace could burst into tears, he tugged his suitcase and turned to leave. Just as he was about to catch the bus, a cold voice stopped him. "Where do you think you're going?" Samuel froze. Every word of his earlier conversation had been overheard. James Turner stood there, eyes sharp as blades. Samuel's brow furrowed. "What do you want?" Behind him, Anna shifted nervously, shaking her head. "I don't know what he's planning." James' gaze swept over them, icy and unrelenting. "A man who's already been married once. Why are you still clinging to Chloe when you already have a child? Tell me now, where did you take her?" James Turner demanded. Samuel White let out a short laugh. "And who do you think you are to question me? Didn't I make myself clear enough last time?" He was never patient when dealing with outsiders, but James ignored the warning. All he cared about now was news of Chloe. "Tell me, where is Chloe?" James' voice trembled with urgency. Samuel frowned, brushed him aside, and hauled his suitcase onto the bus. "There's nothing to say." James jumped in after him, forcing Anna Hart to chase after. "James, don't bother arguing with Engineer White. He probably doesn't know either." "Maybe it was just a child's joke," she said quickly. Though, even she didn't understand why little Grace clung to Chloe so much. Truthfully, if Samuel hadn't had a child, he would have been a far better match than James. "Hey, no fighting or shouting on the bus," the ticket collector snapped. She had seen the tension even before they boarded. Taking Samuel's fare, she gave a sharp warning. Samuel simply nodded, found a seat, and sat down. The sight of James trailing after him made his temples throb. He had never seen such a clingy man before. How had Chloe endured him for so long? "Tell me where she went," James pleaded, his voice carrying raw desperation. Samuel didn't move. "Now you care. Where were you before?" The sarcastic remark hit harder than a blow. James stiffened. "People make mistakes. I admit I was wrong, but I want to fix it. I want to explain. Isn't it enough to realize your fault and try to change?" James argued. Samuel turned his gaze to the white clouds drifting outside the window. "People aren't afraid of mistakes. They're afraid of making the same ones again. You kept repeating yours, but Chloe never said anything. So how do you even know what you did wrong?" James faltered. The words sliced straight through him. Sensing the silence growing heavy, Anna jumped in. "Mr. White, maybe you should just tell him. He's desperate. You see how worked up he is." Samuel's eyes flicked to her, calm but sharp. You call this desperate? He wanted to apologize. Yet, he brought along the very woman who hurt her to the school and tried to make a show of it. Since when has anyone apologized like that? He tilted his head and gave her a cold smile. Anna's face went pale. James's chest tightened at the strange look Samuel gave them both. No, James, it's not like that, Anna stammered, panicked. I only wanted to help you. You asked me to follow you so we could find Chloe together. That's all. James' throat tightened. Samuel chuckled. You two really are a perfect pair. Always shifting the blame, never owning up, just as Chloe said. You're well matched. James shook his head sharply. No, she and I have nothing between us. Anna hadn't expected him to throw her under the bus so quickly. She swallowed her anger, forcing herself to stay calm. In the end, I don't know where Chloe is, Samuel said flatly. Even if you want to find her, I have no leads to give you. As for my daughter calling her mom, children say silly things. You don't seriously take that to heart, do you? Just then, the ticket collector called out, Next stop, train station. All passengers prepare to get off. Samuel stood towering over James by a full head. His calm words carried the weight of a hammer. What's lost is lost. Not every apology can make things right. And if Chloe learns you've been pestering her parents for days, what do you think she'll feel? Do you really think she'll forgive you then? James opened his mouth to argue, but the truth in those words ripped through him. He had no defense. Good luck, Samuel said as he stepped off the bus. But if you try following me again, there are police at the station. I've already given you more courtesy than you deserve. James sat frozen, watching his figure disappear. The ticket collector, seeing no pursuit, moved on. Anna kept talking, her voice cracking from exhaustion. But James didn't even glance at her. James, you can scold me all you want, she whispered, her words falling into the silence he left unbroken. But don't stay silent like this. Anna Hart trailed after James Turner, her voice sharp with desperation. Fine, I admit it. I'm jealous of Chloe. I just want to ask her what you really mean to her. I've given so much for you, James. I can't stand watching you pour all your heart into her. She followed him all the way back to the hotel. At the door, James unlocked it mechanically, but when Anna tried to step in, he stopped her cold. James, are you seriously shutting me out? She gasped, stunned. It was the first time he had ever kept her outside. All it takes is a few words from an outsider, and suddenly you change like this. His eyes, empty and dull, glanced at her without focus. Yet the fact that he finally spoke made her breathe a sigh of relief. At least you're willing to listen to me now. James, hear me out. I'm nothing like what Samuel White said. His voice cut through hers, colder than ice. Too late. Too late. What do you mean? Anna froze. In those hollow eyes, she saw both regret and a strange clarity. Too late that I didn't see through you sooner. But I won't forgive you again. Anna's heart went numb. James, how can you say that? Do you know how much I've sacrificed for you? We should have been together. How did it turn into this? He shook his head slowly. I should have realized. The moment you could abandon everything and walk away from me. Your heart was never simple. I let myself be dragged along by your little schemes until you drove a wedge between me and Chloe that can never be erased. You must be thrilled watching me dance in your palm. Years ago it was the same, and now it's still the same. Memories flashed before his eyes, each sharper than the last. Anna's face went pale. No, it's not true. When I went abroad, it wasn't by choice. The moment I had a chance, I came back to find you. But you were already married. What could I do? Did you expect me to think you'd stand still and wait for me forever? James's eyes snapped open, his voice cutting off her excuses. Don't make up more lies. You're not like Chloe. You only thought I was worth holding on to once I climbed the ranks. But Chloe, she didn't even know who had saved her. Didn't know I was a commander. When I told her I needed to take responsibility, she told me to think carefully first. She never wanted me to feel obligated to her. His words broke apart, each one laced with regret. Anna's face drained of blood. No, that's not true. All she received in return was his disgust. Go back to base. This time, I'm not going with you. I should have seen it from the start. Why you insisted on tagging along. You never wanted me and Chloe to reconcile. Everything that's happened now, this is all thanks to you. The door slammed shut in her face. Anna trembled, her whole body shaking. How had her perfect plan unraveled so completely? Why was nothing as smooth as it had been back at the military district? She should never have come here. She should have stayed put, quietly waiting for James to return and marry her. But the thought of Chloe truly reconciling with him had been unbearable. That was why she clung to him everywhere he went. And now everything had crumbled. Anna stood in shock, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, in North City, Chloe had just learned that Samuel White was arriving that afternoon. Coincidentally, she had half a day off, so she decided to meet him at the station and take the chance to stroll around the city. A suggestion her colleague, Miss Wong, had once made, though Chloe had forgotten in the busyness of training. Samuel's train was due at 3. Chloe arrived more than 10 minutes early, only to be stopped by a group of elderly matchmakers. "Hey, young lady. You're so pretty. You must be a teacher, right?" one of them asked. Chloe blinked in surprise. "How did you know?" The old woman chuckled. "I have sharp eyes, that's how. Where are you from? Where do you teach? How many siblings do you have? How old are you this year?" The barrage of questions left Chloe dumbfounded. Realizing she had run into a matchmaking group, she shook her head quickly. "Sorry, I have something urgent. I really need to go." But the woman wasn't about to let her go. "You're so beautiful, so educated, and you're not married yet, are you? I have a perfect candidate for you. He's 6 feet tall, studied for his master's overseas, and just came back," the old woman insisted. At that, Chloe almost burst out laughing. In this day and age, someone like me would never be chosen to marry a master's degree returnee. I didn't want to argue further. I still needed to meet Samuel White at the station. "Ma'am, I really have something urgent. I don't have time right now." She was old, so Chloe didn't want to be rude. She tried to pull her hand back gently, but the woman clung to her. "Girl, I'm not lying to you. You'll fall for him the moment you meet him. His family is wealthy. His parents run a business. You'll live a life of comfort. Just marry him, have 2 sons, and you won't even have to worry about housework. Everything will be taken care of for you." Her words nearly twisted Chloe's face in frustration. She tugged at her hand again. "Ma'am, I really do have something important. Another time maybe. If I keep hesitating, Samuel might already pass me by." But she wouldn't stop. "No rush. His family even prefers a daughter-in-law who's a teacher. Just give them 2 boys, that's all. Even if you don't, you can keep trying until you do." My stomach turned cold at the thought. What kind of logic was that? In this world, if a woman doesn't have children, can she still be called a woman? She added. That was enough. Chloe yanked her hand free, anger flaring. "I've respected you. But please don't demean women like that. You're a woman too. How can you say we're not women if we don't give birth?" She froze for a second, then glared at Chloe. "So, what if you've had a little schooling? You don't know how high the heavens are. If your parents heard you talk like that, they'd beat you for being so unfilial." Her mask had slipped. I gave a cold laugh. "My parents only have me, and whether I marry or not, they support me. People like you shouldn't have children. You'll only ruin them." I had planned to just keep the peace, but her words were too vicious. "You insolent girl. No wonder you're still single. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your parents," she snapped, raising her hand to hit me. The crowd swelled with onlookers. I couldn't strike back. I could only try to dodge, but she was fast, and her hand was already swinging down. "Enough." A warm, deep voice cut through the noise. I froze, turning to see Samuel White gripping the woman's wrist firmly. Relief washed over me. "You? How did you know I was here?" He let go of her hand and gave me a small smile. "I heard your voice." I bit my lip, realizing I must have been too loud earlier. "And who are you?" the woman snapped. Samuel's face hardened. "An old woman with no manners. Keep this up and I'll take you to the police station." Furious, she jabbed a finger at us. "She's not even married yet. You're this close. What's your relationship? Look, everyone look at them." I narrowed my eyes. "You're a woman yourself. How can you slander another woman just because I turned down your blind date? You even said you'd teach me a lesson like my parents. Who do you think you are? People say women have it hard, and it's because of people like you. Women who trample on other women make society so harsh. She faltered, speechless. Around us, other women began to chime in. She's right. That lady hasn't done anything wrong. Yeah, you're being way too harsh. Samuel glanced at the crowd, then said evenly, You've misunderstood. She's my wife. She doesn't want children and I support her completely. I looked at him in surprise but quickly understood. In this time, a man and woman traveling together would stir gossip. Explaining would be useless. The woman's face turned black. In my eyes, your wife is worthless. But in my eyes, Samuel countered, she's an exceptional teacher, raising countless students. And you'll stay trapped in your narrow world, tearing down other women. His words left me stunned. I hadn't expected him to be so progressive. Around us, more people nodded in agreement. Finally, the woman muttered angrily and slunk away under the weight of their stares. On the way to the university, Samuel sighed. I misspoke today and put you in a tough spot. I should have warned you first. I shook my head. It's fine. No one here knows me anyway. I didn't even get the chance to thank you. Today, I felt like I'd seen another side of Samuel White. For a moment, I thought perhaps in the past he and his wife must have been very happy together. Honestly, we argued quite a lot, Samuel admitted calmly. I widened my eyes. Really? That's hard to believe. I thought you two were college classmates. He gave me a helpless glance as we sat down in a roast duck shop. In college, she was amazing. But after we married, things changed. Maybe it was because of her conservative parents. They restricted a lot of the thoughts she once had. I tried to talk to her, but it was useless. My fault was not realizing how deeply troubled she was. His voice was restrained, yet full of regret. Perhaps his work had kept him too busy, leaving his wife to shoulder her struggles alone. After childbirth, she must have been overwhelmed, slipping into despair. If only he had paid a little more attention, indulged her feelings just a bit, maybe things would have turned out differently. I couldn't help but feel regret on his behalf. Samuel nodded. Back then, I wasn't mature. I only thought about building a career. And then she used her death to make me realize the importance of family. I owe her more than anyone else in my life. Hearing that, I felt a faint ache and quickly steered the topic away. I didn't want to listen anymore. Stories like this happen too often in these times. Even later, when women began to awaken to their rights, the pressure from society was still greater than their progress. The path to that awakening was unbearably hard. After finishing the roast duck, Samuel still had to report to the research institute. So, we parted ways. I'll contact you when I get back, he said before hurrying off. I walked back to the hotel, unable to shake the heaviness inside me. Yet everything that had happened today only strengthened my resolve to take the graduate school exam to grow stronger. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The trip had gone smoothly. Samuel finished his research early and waited for me for 2 days. Then we both returned to Fairview together. So, you're really determined to take the grad school exam this time? He asked, noticing the book in my hand. I nodded. Yes, I want to study in the capital city. If I could, I'd keep studying forever. What major are you aiming for? My gaze hardened slightly. I'm a teacher. I still want to study philosophy. I want to pass on my beliefs to the girls who come after me. To tell them that daughters must know how to protect themselves. Even if their parents never teach them self-respect, they must teach themselves to value and love who they are. To remind themselves that they are the most important, and not let anyone manipulate their spirit. The path may be hard, but with persistence, one by one, people will change. Like a frog in warm water. It takes time, but things will eventually get better. That sounds incredible, Samuel said with a half smile. Then I'll entrust Lily's outlook on life to you. I immediately answered, of course. Lily might not have her birth mother anymore, but since she had once called me Mom, I would do everything to help her grow well. And after we get back, do you have any other plans? Samuel asked suddenly. I paused. I'll keep teaching at the school. At least finish the semester. Sometimes I feel like my decision was a bit rushed. I feel guilty toward the students I've only taught for one term. But people need to move forward, and so do I. Only when I improve myself can I have the right to treat others better. Then let me wish you success in your exams first, Samuel said, not pressing further. Just then Miss Vu appeared, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. Comrade White, where are you from? Until now, I only knew you were a college classmate of Miss Chloe. Seeing the admiration in her eyes, I cleared my throat softly. Miss Vu, you seem a little excited today, don't you? Samuel White glanced at me, paused for 2 seconds, then answered calmly. I'm Chloe's neighbor. At that, Miss Vu's eyes widened in surprise. Miss Chloe, you're really blessed with good neighbors, huh? I didn't quite understand her reaction at first. Comrade White, how old are you? Where's your family from? Miss Vu's smile grew even brighter. I suddenly realized she wasn't asking out of courtesy. She was actually interested in him. Samuel smiled. I have a daughter. Hearing that, Miss Vu's jaw dropped wider than an egg. You're married? Something like that, Samuel said evenly. Beside him, I couldn't help but quietly chuckle. Maybe Miss Vu had rarely met someone she found appealing, only to discover she was a step too late. Miss Chloe, why didn't you say anything beforehand? I was even planning to introduce my cousin to Comrade White. Miss Vu blurted out, cheeks flushed red with embarrassment. I stifled a laugh. How could I have said anything? You showed up so suddenly, I barely had time to react. Besides, if your cousin is open to someone who's been through a divorce, they could still get to know each other. Samuel shot me a look, clearly aware that I was enjoying the scene a little too much. Miss Vu froze. Wait, you mean Comrade White is divorced? Samuel shook his head. That's not something I want to discuss, and I have no intention of remarrying. I wouldn't want to waste your cousin's time. It was a polite refusal, but firm enough. Miss Vu bit her lip, clearly disappointed, and let the matter drop. Still, she cast me a sidelong glare. Miss Chloe, once we're back at school, I have a few educational matters to discuss with you. I only shrugged. I'm sleepy. I'll be turning in first. And so, with little teasing moments like these, our train ride of 7 days and 7 nights finally ended. At dawn, we arrived back at Fairview Station. See you tomorrow at school, Miss Chloe. Miss Vu waved as her family came to pick her up. I waved back helplessly, thinking the first thing she'd probably face at home was another round of blind dates. Just a short distance outside the station, a cheerful voice rang out. Mom. I turned and saw Lily struggling in her grandparents' arms, kicking to be let down. The man walking beside me quickened his pace, his voice filled with emotion. Lily. I froze for a moment. It was the first time I'd ever seen Samuel so shaken. Even when he had spoken of his late wife, he hadn't shown this much raw feeling. Clearly, Lily was the most precious part of his world. Mom, I missed you so much. Lily was in Samuel's arms for barely 2 seconds before wriggling free, rushing toward me instead. I quickly set down my luggage, greeted Mr. and Mrs. White, then gathered Lily into my arms. You've had a hard time, Chloe, Mrs. White said gently. Come now, Lily, let your foster mom rest. But Lily clung tightly to me, unwilling to let go. I could feel her deep-seated insecurity, so I gently patted her back. It's okay. Mom's back now. We'll have plenty of time to play together. Really? Lily asked hesitantly, tilting her head up at me. With no other choice, Samuel picked up the luggage while I carried Lily home. Mom, Grandma and Grandpa said they'll take me to kindergarten tomorrow. Can you come with me? She pleaded, clutching my hand, her little face clouded with worry. I paused. Of course I can, and once you're older, you'll join my class. But I'll be very strict then, you know. I teased gently. She pouted, then broke into a giggle, her sensitivity and sweetness shining through. You've done so much already, Chloe. Come by for dinner tomorrow, Mrs. White said warmly. She knew I had just returned and didn't insist on keeping me longer. I looked down at Lily and smiled. Don't worry, you're my daughter now. People say a teacher for a day, a father for life. If I've become your foster mom, I'll do it wholeheartedly. Be safe on your way home. Samuel walked me to the door. I pressed my lips together, smiling softly. Isn't that a little over the top? I live right next door. If Lily wants to see me, just send her over. My parents are free too. They'd love having a little one around the house, I said lightly. Suddenly, it occurred to me. Maybe I wouldn't have children of my own in the future. Being an only child, the thought had always lingered in the back of my mind. Perhaps letting Lily fill that place of closeness wasn't such a bad thing after all. Samuel froze for a few seconds, then simply nodded. All right. Satisfied, I turned to leave. I caught a glimpse of him shaking his head helplessly behind me, though the corner of his lips curved in the faintest smile. Only a few steps from home, I ran straight into James Turner, an uninvited guest I had long since pushed out of my thoughts. Honestly, I hadn't even remembered he might still be lingering here. I had been away for a whole month, yet he was still around. Chloe. His eyes no longer carried the sternness of before, but instead held a glimmer of hope. I regarded him coolly. Why are you still here? Don't you have work? James fumbled, half nodding, half shaking his head. Chloe, I really know I was wrong. These days, I've done nothing but hide in the shadows, hoping to catch a glimpse of you in the crowd. I waited and waited. Orders to return came, but still, I didn't see you. I started to wonder, had you really left for good? I never imagined just the day before I had to go back, I'd see you again. But I didn't dare come closer. You were with family, with Samuel carrying a child and laughing happily. That should have been me beside you, not him. I gave him a faint smile. James, there's nothing between us anymore. Right or wrong on your part has nothing to do with me. I can face you calmly now because I've already forgotten it all. Still, I should thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have woken up so quickly. You made me understand that while men aren't all unreliable, you are. So from now on, I'll only rely on myself. And about you troubling my parents, I know, but I won't hold it against you. Just leave. My heart was steady, without gloating, without amusement, and without any sense of victory. From the beginning, he and I had never shared the same path. My happiness came from making the right choice for myself, not from watching him bow his head. If that were the case, my heart would still be chained to a man, and my decision would lose all meaning. James' eyes widened. He shook his head desperately. No, I haven't even apologized yet. I know I misunderstood you, and I only ever listened to her side. Chloe, please give me a chance to make it right. But the more sincere he sounded, the calmer I became. I already gave you that chance. You just didn't value it. Understand this, James. No one will stand in the same place waiting for you forever. Whatever last bit of attachment I once had dissolved completely like snow melting underfoot. His knees buckled and he collapsed onto the ground, horror filling his eyes. Impossible. You loved me so much. It was just one argument. How could it come to this? He mumbled like a broken man. I only found it laughable because you never truly admitted your faults. A man like you is destined to live alone. With that, I turned away, leaving him behind. Chloe, his voice called after me, soft and desolate, just like that day at the train station when he had shouted endlessly, but never once made me turn back. This time, James finally seemed to believe it. He had lost me for good. Who's there? My mother's voice came from inside. She hurried out to greet me. I fell into my parents' embrace. Mom, Dad, I missed you both so much. Looking at the warm, cozy home, I couldn't help but smile brightly. This was what I truly longed for. I told my parents about my plan to take the graduate school entrance exams. I thought they might object, but to my surprise my father said, as parents, we'll support every good decision you make. Back then, when you wanted to marry far away, we tried to stop you. We only stopped you from marrying far away because we were afraid you'd be mistreated, and we wouldn't be able to protect you in time. But whatever you want to do, whatever you like, we won't interfere. My father said firmly. My mother gave a little huff. Didn't you say you'd stay here in Fairview? I held her hand. Yes. Once I finish school, I'll come back to Fairview. Mom pursed her lips. That's barely acceptable then. Now come on. I'll make dinner. You haven't eaten at home for a whole month. You must miss it. She pulled Dad along toward the kitchen. I crouched down to help with the vegetables, watching the warm scene unfold. It filled me with even more gratitude. After all, something this hard-won had to be cherished all the more. The next day, just as I reached the school gate, Hannah appeared and blocked my way. This time, she didn't have the arrogance she once carried, but instead looked utterly defeated. "I just need a moment, please." "Really, just a little," she said weakly. I was about to refuse, but curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see what she was plotting now. So I nodded. 5 minutes. Her jaw clenched. Fine. She had always been the one giving orders, and now she had to bend. We sat in a small cafe near the school. Hannah came straight to the point. "Chloe, I admit it. You've won. Now James only wants you. You must be happy, right?" I pulled at the corner of my lips and stood. "If you called me here just to say that, I don't have time." Grinding her teeth, she grabbed my sleeve. "I won't fight you anymore. You can have James. He's in pieces right now. Even calls your name in his sleep. I'm letting go, Chloe. I'm giving him to you." I narrowed my eyes, finding it almost laughable. "What I don't want, I definitely don't need from you." Her face froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean, James and I are done. Whatever happens between you and him isn't my concern. You schemed to come between us, so be ready for the outcome. Don't dump him back on me like some piece of garbage. You started this mess. You clean it up. I'm not your trash bin." Her whole body trembled with rage. She jumped up. "What gives you the right to talk about him that way?" I rose too. "Everything that happened was because of you." With that, I turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving her words behind me. From that moment, the past was truly over. Time slipped by and I never saw James again. Maybe he had finally left. These days, sometimes Samuel would come to pick me up after classes, bringing Lily along. It had become a quiet routine. But this time he came alone. "Why just you today?" I asked, glancing around, half expecting Lily to jump out from behind something. He gave a small smile. "Because I have something I want to talk to you about, so I didn't bring her." I blinked in surprise and nodded. "What is it?" "Let's walk." He started ahead. I followed, puzzled by his silence. After a few minutes, he suddenly stopped, turning to me with a complicated look. "Chloe, have you ever thought about remarrying?" I shook my head almost instinctively. "No." He froze, clearly not expecting such a quick answer. I realized immediately what he meant, and a flush crept up my cheeks. I turned my face aside in embarrassment. So Samuel had feelings for me. He cleared his throat. "Lily's close with you and my parents have been pressing me to find her a mother. So His voice trailed off awkwardly, as if using them as an excuse softened the weight of what he wanted to say. "I see." I gave a small forced laugh, then steadied myself and looked straight at him. "Samuel, I really don't intend to remarry. My parents aren't pushing me either. If I could, I'd rather not marry again for the rest of my life. If you're just looking for someone to appease your parents, then you've chosen the wrong person." We had both been circling around the truth. He fell silent, his eyes still carrying a hint of surprise. I went on firmly. "But Lily will always be my daughter, no matter how many mothers she may have in the future. That's a promise." Samuel took my quiet refusal with a small smile. "That's fine then." We exchanged a couple of awkward laughs, and before long we reached the housing compound. The words left unsaid were left hanging, destined to stay in that day. I thought to myself, that's enough. No need to make it heavier. Just then, Lily ran out of my house, her little legs carrying her as fast as they could. "Mom, Grandpa wouldn't let me go with you." She puffed up her cheeks in protest. I chuckled and ruffled her hair. "That's your dad's fault, not mine." Samuel was watching us. His lips curved into a faint smile. The road ahead was still long, but maybe this was enough. The setting sun stretched our shadows across the ground. "My name is James Turner. The first time I met Chloe Warren was the day she came to take charge of a new class. By chance, I had the day off. I was passing by the training camp's lake when I saw her slip and fall into the water. I didn't think twice. Saving her was all that mattered. I jumped in without hesitation. Luckily, I reached her in time. She only swallowed a few gulps of water. That was the first time I saw her clearly rising out of the water. She looked like a lotus blooming at dawn. Her gentle eyes, her grateful smile, they made me freeze. My heart thudded wildly. Back then, I didn't know it was the stirrings of love. My buddies teased me, saying I should take responsibility. I held on to that thought, so I asked her straight out if she would marry me. I thought she'd laugh in my face, but instead she paused, then nodded. Well then, Comrade Turner, I look forward to your guidance, she said, extending her slender hand with a bright smile. My heart pounded again, even harder. I didn't realize it yet, but that was when I truly liked her. After we married, our once empty home filled with warmth. She fussed over my health, sometimes crying red-eyed when I returned too late. No matter the hour, a hot meal always waited, and she always stayed up for me. By day, she was the best teacher at the compound school, always ready to help anyone who asked. By night, she sewed with careful hands, the devoted wife who made me want to rush home after every shift. And still I didn't know it was love. To everyone else she was the perfect wife, the admired military spouse. But I didn't cherish her. I don't know when it started to change. Maybe 2 months after we married, when Hannah came back from overseas. Chloe was quiet, gentle. Hannah was fiery, passionate. Foolishly, my Libra's balance tipped toward Hannah. Why? I still can't answer. My comrades warned me. Hannah abandoned you once. Your wife didn't value her. Keep your distance from that woman. But I told myself, women shouldn't be jealous. I was a soldier. I would never bow my head to jealousy. And so Chloe, my gentle, patient wife, ended up crying and fighting with me countless times. Only later did I realize those tears meant she cared. Then came the day she lost our child. She stopped fighting altogether. Whatever I said, she only gave me a faint, bitter smile. That was when I finally understood. It wasn't patience anymore. It was despair. By then it was too late. I had truly lost her. She no longer loved me. If I could go back, I swore I'd never make the same mistake. And somehow fate listened. I opened my eyes and found myself back 5 months after our wedding. This time, I avoided Hannah completely. I came home on time every day, determined to be good to Chloe. At first, her eyes flickered with surprise, then with joy. Later, our son was born, sweet, obedient, a beautiful child. I took Chloe back to Fairview so she could stay close to her parents. Every leave, I came straight home. Eventually, I even requested a transfer to Fairview, settling there permanently. Her parents were pleased. I was truly happy. But then I'd wake in the dead of night, heart pounding, and realize it had only been a dream. I had lost Chloe forever. My name is Lily. I have a foster mother named Chloe Warren, but I only call her Mom. From the time I was little, she treated me with love. She always told me never to forget my real mother because without her, I wouldn't exist. When I was 4 years old, Mom passed her graduate exam in North City. I was gone for 3 years, but during those 3 years, Mom never once forgot me. She sent me toys, books, and everything else a child could want. Afterward, she continued her doctorate. Because my grandparents were getting old, she decided to return. By day, she taught her students. By night, she taught me knowledge. She said, "You must learn to protect yourself. Don't trust every word people say. The world doesn't teach boys not to bully girls, but you must learn to defend yourself." When kids teased me for not having a mother, my foster mom stood up for me. I was lucky. I had 2 mothers, one who gave birth to me and one who raised me. She never avoided the subject. She always told me my birth mother was a wonderful person, someone I should remember forever. Mom was beautiful, but she never remarried. Once I asked my dad, "Is it because Mom wouldn't marry you that you never remarried?" To me, Dad was an accomplished researcher. I thought he and Mom were perfectly suited. But Dad only said, "Your foster mom is more advanced in her thinking than I'll ever be. I don't deserve her. From the moment you called her Mom, she was only your mom, nothing else." Because of her, I grew up surrounded by love. She was strict, but what she taught me most was independence. Never to repeat mistakes, always to walk my own path. To me, she was the model of a new kind of woman. Strong, fearless. I was proud to call her my mother. Later, she became a university president. Her motto was, "Protect yourself from childhood. Free your mind from within." I lived a happy life. Once I dreamed of my birth mother, she said. Seeing you live like this, I'm at peace. Please thank your foster mom for me. People often praised my father for being loyal to his late wife. But I knew he had feelings for Mom too. Still, she was someone destined for greater things. Someone who never belonged to anyone. When I grew up, I understood. I had 4 grandparents, a father, and a mother who raised me. I was truly blessed. If there's a next life, I still want to be her child. 55 years later, Chloe Warren was 70 and retired. But she never gave up learning. Looking back, she never again saw James Turner or Hannah Hart. One never married, the other married in haste. Chloe, how about braised pork tonight? Came Samuel White's voice behind her. Not too much, Lily. Mom has high blood pressure, Lily chimed in. Chloe smiled. All right, I'll listen to you. She and Samuel never confessed feelings outright, but in old age, they lived together because that was Lily's wish. Chloe felt her life had been good. She had proven that a woman didn't need a man to live fully. All she needed was herself. At any point in life, a person can begin again.